Hello and welcome to today's vlog. Today I have made a decision to share something about my disability that only a handful of people know about. So these are people that absolutely have to know about it, and like obviously my doctors and stuff know, but in terms of how open I've been about this in the past, nobody knows, and I think it is time to change that. So if you are watching this and you don't want to know about sort of bodily functions, then I would suggest give this video a miss. However, if you want to learn something and embrace something about yourself that maybe you're embarrassed about, then give the video a watch. It might help you understand something. So here we go. So, as you know, if you are a regular follower of me anywhere, I am disabled. I have recently, in the last sort of couple of years, embraced my disability. Some parts of it are harder to embrace than others, but I'm quite open about the fact that I have a disability called Sacral Agenesis, and you'd only have to Google that really to get an overview of the sorts of things that I might encounter from that disability. However, today I'm going to talk about something that I've never talked about before, and certainly not in a very open and public place like this. So bear with me. Hopefully I'll explain it well enough, and let's give it a go. It is a neurological condition, and my spine ends at L2. As you can see here, this is where it ends, and these are the sort of things that the spine ending there is going to affect. And hopefully here now is a picture of what my back looks like, and you can see you can see where my spine ends. It's quite funny. So that causes a number of lower limb issues. So I've had lots of ankle surgeries, I've had a hip replacement, I've had lots of surgeries on my feet, I wear orthopedic shoes. I've talked about all of this before. My mobility is affected. I walk with a limp, a quite pronounced limp. I struggle sort of lower limb wise. I've got, I don't know if it's the right word, but it's the right word for me. I've got very deformed legs. So that's one thing that sacral agenesis affects. The other thing that sacral agenesis obviously affects when you've not got that part of your spine is your bladder and your bowels. So one of the things that affects and impacts every single second of my life, forever, eternally, is my bladder. So until about the age of 15, when I had major bladder reconstructive surgery, I was incontinent. I wore pads, and that was how I dealt with it basically. When I was around 15, I had a cystoplasty, where they took a piece of my bowel, patched it into my bladder to just make it better and fit for purpose. Since that surgery, I have self-catheterized. So I use what is called an intermittent self-catheterization, which basically means that if I want to wee, I use a catheter. Now chances are if you've ever had a baby or a C-section or an epidural or a general anaesthetic or sort of a major surgery, chances are you will have had a catheter inserted into your bladder to help you drain your wee at some point. It's pretty standard if you're having sort of a long surgery or an epidural. Obviously an epidural kills all these nerve endings, doesn't kill, temporarily halts them, so it would be difficult for you to pee, so chances are you've had a catheter inserted. After my surgery when I was 15, I had an indwelling catheter and a suprapubic catheter at the same time, and they're basically one tube goes through your urethral opening and the other tube goes through sort of your stomach, or groin almost, I can't remember, into your bladder and drains fluids that way. And I had to go to school with 2 bags of my own pee strapped to my legs. Those were not good times for me. I struggled a lot with incontinence in school, and that isn't something I will be talking about, but basically once the 2 indwelling catheters were removed, I then was taught to self-catheterise. That involved me in a toilet with nurses, and they basically taught me to insert the catheter and empty my bladder. So I will at some point do a vlog which is more about the ins and outs of self-catheterisation, but today I just want to give you an overview of the issues that I face every day. So basically I am unable to, and have always been unable to, tell if I need a wee or not. I cannot tell if my bladder is full, and by the time I can tell, it's too late. So I have to self-catheterise to empty my bladder. It is the only way I can pee. I cannot pee normally like you would go to the toilet and do a wee. I cannot do that unless my bladder is completely full and overflowing, and again, by which time it's too late anyway. So I have to self-catheterise. Most people will do this sort of every 4 hours or so. I am a bit compulsive about how many times I catheterise in a day, and will often overdo it because I am incredibly paranoid that I will be incontinent. So that's how I manage it. It's a sterile process, it's a sterile catheter, and again I will talk about this more in depth another time. This is just sort of an overview. This is so hard for me, it really is. I can't tell you how hard this is to talk about it. So like I said before, nobody knows about this really. I've always managed it secretly. I think people assume I take a really long time in the toilet. I forever worry that people think I'm having a poo when I am not, because I take a really long time in the toilet, and I go to the toilet a lot, and I will say to people, oh, I need the toilet, and I don't know if I need the toilet or not, but it's habit, and it makes people think that I completely normally pee. So it's just habit now that I say, oh, I need a wee, when I don't know if I do or not. I just wee because I've used a catheter and that's emptied my bladder. So it's tough, it's really tough, and my whole life is, everything I do, every place we go, everything is dictated by where the nearest toilet is going to be, and that's a hard way to live your life. I've never talked about this before because it's really embarrassing. It's the one part of my disability that I am truly deeply ashamed of, and actually, why am I so ashamed? And yes, it's not completely natural for a 35-year-old woman to piss herself on a regular basis. It's depressing and awful and embarrassing and hateful, and I'm so ashamed of my body that it does this to me. But I can pretty much guarantee that you know at least one person that suffers from urinary incontinence. Chances are, if you've had children, if you're sort of that bit older, you probably, chances are that person has a weak bladder, and if they laugh or sneeze or run, they may pee. I am very confident that you know at least one person, work with at least one person that uses Tenor Lady. So it is actually a natural sort of body issue, and it's not something we should be ashamed of. And I wanted to talk about it because I think if I can help one person to feel that actually this is fine, it's fine, and it's not your fault and it's not your body, and if I can help that person to feel better about themselves, then that's why I wanted to do this, and why I wanted to talk about it. But it has been tough. It has been so tough. It's so hard. And it's embarrassing. Dating was very hard, let me tell you. Thank God I managed to capture and tie down my husband. Let's just say that. And in all honesty, even to him, I don't talk about it. It's just not something I discuss, and not because he wouldn't be okay with it, because he would, and he is. It's just a deep set thing inside me that makes it so impossible for me to embrace it. I've not even been able to, most of the time, call a catheter a catheter. I refer to it as stuff. And I think that's sad. That's really sad for me that I can't embrace it. So that's what I wanted to do. I see a urologist every 12 months. At the moment I'm seeing them every 3 to 6 months. I have a 3-monthly phone call with a urology nurse. I am absolutely plagued by UTIs, which amplifies the issues, because as you may well know, if you've had a UTI, UTIs themselves can cause incontinence and increased frequency of needing to go to the toilet. So add on to what was already absolutely no bladder control whatsoever, things have been tough the last few years in terms of my bladder. It's now been 20 years since my surgery, and I am due to have some tests done because it doesn't seem to be working as well as it should be, and that's really scary. But that's for another time. So yes, my name is Estelle and I have to self-catheterize in order to wee. I've thought about talking about this a lot, and I never have, because we don't talk about these things, we don't talk about them enough, and actually we should talk about these things. We should talk about our experiences, and we should talk about what helps us if we suffer from these issues. What helps someone overcome it? How do people deal with it? How do people cope? And that's what I want to do. I want to start a conversation. I want people not to be ashamed, especially young girls or young boys that might suffer from urinary incontinence. There are things they can do. There are medications that you can take. There are exercises. There are surgeries. There are all sorts of things out there for you if you just talk about it. And that's what we need to do. That's what I need to do. So yeah, scary stuff. So that's it really, I guess. I don't think I've explained it terribly well. I think I just wanted to get it out there so that I can start talking about it, and I will explain in more depth about the catheters and when I have my urodynamics testing, which is actually going to be next week. My urology issues have been a big part of my trauma. As you might know, I suffer from PTSD around medical procedures and around my disability, and my bladder and bowel issues have been a really significant part of that. Really significant. So I'm hoping that I will be able to start coming to terms with it a bit better. I mean, I'm a grown woman. I shouldn't be ashamed of this. I shouldn't be ashamed of myself. I hope this vlog is received in the way that I want it to be. I hope it comes across how I want it to come across, and I'd like to think that you wouldn't think any less of me for knowing this about me, and I really hope I help someone. I hope I help someone who might suffer from incontinence for whatever reason, or somebody that has to catheterize for whatever reason. I hope this reaches you, and I hope that you can deal with it a lot better than I've done in my life. Yeah. So that's it. Thank you for watching. If you have got any questions, then as always drop them below. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up, and if you like my content, then I'd love for you to subscribe. I will be talking more in depth about some of my urological issues, and look out for my guide to urodynamics testing coming soon. Thank you. I am going to go and cry now because this was really hard. So thanks for watching again, and I will see you soon in another video.